Hold on, I'm trying to add it up. 170.
Whoa!
250.
Only 250?
I was winging it.
1,612.
It's 166.4.
That's it? It's like how much we drive in a shift.
To the Monday, February 24th, 2025 meeting of the City of Savage Parks, Recs, and Natural Resources Commission. I call this meeting to order. Mr. Boatman, will you please call roll?
Actually, we're going to have our staff member Katie Levenick do the roll.
Katie, will you call roll, please?
Chairperson Sorensen,
Here.
Heineman,
Here.
Lund,
Here.
Peterson,
Here.
Shear,
Here.
Sjogren,
Here.
Strayer,
Here.
Mason,
Here.
and Chow.
All right, we will stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, you have the agenda in front of you. Does anyone have any additions to tonight's agenda?
Nothing from staff, Chair.
Any commissioners? Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda, Strayer.
And a second?
Second, Sjogren.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? This is our official agenda for tonight. Mr. Boatman.
Thank you, Chair. Commissioners, good evening. Tonight we have our annual oath of office. These are for the commissioners whose term had expired and have been reappointed by our City Council. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to have you stand in place, all four of you at the same time. You have in front of you, commissioners who will be taking the oath, a copy of the oath of office. Feel free to read along. As I call it out, I'll say, I state your name as the first part. I'll start with Commissioner Mason. You'll say, I, Joshua Mason, and then I'll move down to Commissioner Shear and so on. And then once we get done with all the names, then I will move on to do solemnly swear, and then you guys will repeat after me together as a group. Does that make sense? Sure. So if I can have the chair and vice chair please stand, Commissioners Mason and Shear please stand, and raise your right hand and follow along. I state your name.
I, Joshua Mason,
I, Brenda Shear.
I, Jackie Sorensen.
Tim Heineman.
Do solemnly swear.
Solemnly swear.
Support the Constitution of the United States.
That I will support the Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the State of Minnesota.
The Constitution of the State of Minnesota.
That I will faithfully and impartially discharge.
And that I will faithfully and impartially discharge.
Parks, Recreation, and Natural Resource Commissioner.
The duties of the Parks, Recreation, and Natural Resources Commissioner.
City of Savage.
Of the City of Savage.
County of Scott.
County of Scott.
And the State of Minnesota.
And the State of Minnesota.
To which I have been appointed.
To which I have been appointed.
To the best of my knowledge and ability.
To the best of my knowledge and ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Thank you very much. You can be seated. And if you wouldn't mind, commissioners, please sign your name on the blank line right underneath the oath, and then pass those down to staff member Katie over here. Katie Levenick will take those for you. As our admin for the commission, she will get those notarized, and then we will send you out a copy and also get a copy to our city clerk. Thank you and congratulations for being reappointed again, and thank you to all of our commissioners for your service.
Now we will move on to nominations to elect the chair and vice chair of our commission for the 2025 year ending in January 2026.
Chair and commissioners, we are so fortunate to have Katie with us tonight because she keeps me so organized, and she is going to help me get this voting done this year really clean and very smooth. In front of you, you have 4 ballots. The first ballot that we're going to be looking at is the nominations for chair. These, we will talk actually later on tonight during our 101 session about the role of the chair. Basically, it's the person who keeps the meeting on task and facilitates discussion and kind of makes sure that we have our motions and seconds and all of that, keeps the meeting moving. So if you are willing to be a chair, or you think of somebody out here has been a great chair or would be a great chair, please provide a nomination now. And when we are done with nominations, we'll pass them down to Katie. She and I will look at them, and then we will ask you if you accept the nominations, and we'll go from there. So please write your name, fold it in half, and send it on over, and I'll go back over to the desk.
Only doing one at a time. Excuse me. Already been on this 3 years. Can't believe that. I think we need a secret box. Exactly.
Okay, we have 2 nominations for chair. One is our current chair, Chair Sorensen. Are you willing to accept the nomination?
I am.
And we have one for Scott Lund. Commissioner Lund, would you accept the nomination?
I respectfully decline.
You respectfully decline.
I appreciate it.
Okay. So knowing we have 1 nomination, there is no need for a vote because there only one other person was nominated, and that's Commissioner Sorensen. Chair Sorensen, will you accept the role as chair for another year?
I will.
Thank you very much. Okay, you can take your voting for chair and throw it on the floor or move it aside. Okay, thank you.
I mean, let's have a little joy. We can.
Learn something from this.
We are the Parks and Recreation
We
and
are the
Natural
Parks and Recreation.
We have a little fun when we do our meetings.
We can pick them up when we're done.
Okay.
I promise, Katie. Thank you.
Reining you guys back in, we are going to do nominations for vice chair. And same procedure, fold it in half and send it on down, please. And the role of the vice chair is to fulfill the role of chair if the chair is not able to be here.
Should be nice and short.
We have 3 nominations. Our current vice chair, Heineman, Commissioner Heineman, would you be willing to accept a nomination?
I will.
We have one for, actually we have 4. One for Commissioner Peterson. Are you willing to accept the nomination, Commissioner Peterson?
No, I want Heineman.
Another nomination for vice chair is Commissioner Lund. Are you willing to accept the nomination?
I respectfully decline.
And we have one more for a vice chair nomination for Commissioner Strayer. Are you willing to accept the nomination?
Yes.
Okay. So we will do a vote. If you would vote, please, between Commissioners Heineman and Commissioners Strayer.
Do we vote on the green card then?
On the green card that says vote for vice chair.
Yeah, I got it written down too. Perfect.
And we will tally the votes. And Commissioner Heineman, you have received the most votes. Are you willing to accept the vote?
I am.
Excellent. Your chair for this next year is Chair Sorensen, and vice chair is Vice Chair Heineman. Thank you very much for doing that. Much smoother than last year, guys.
Well,
All
having
right.
existing ones is a lot easier.
Next up is approving the minutes from our January 27th meeting. You have those minutes in front of you. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes?
None from staff, Chair.
Okay, can I have a motion to approve them?
Motion to approve the minutes from last meeting, Strayer.
And a second?
Second, Heineman.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right, our minutes from last meeting are approved. Mr. Bowman, would you like to present PRNRC 101?
I would be happy to. Thank you, Chair and Commissioners. Again, good evening. Thank you again to Katie for all of her hard work getting this put together. This is the most administrative meeting that we have of the year, getting all the things updated that we have to behind the scenes, getting the oath of office, get that all organized. And I really appreciate Katie taking time away from her family to be with us tonight and to help me out. Tonight, you're going back to school. This is something new that our city administrator has asked us to do as staff liaisons to the various commissions. Those of you that were newish since our city administrator Larson has been here, we've done a very more formal orientation for commissioners. He has asked us to dive deeper into our commission and talk to you really about the role and purpose of our commission. And as such, I've provided for you in front of you a copy of the handout, which is a copy of the presentation that I'm giving you tonight. So you'll have that for your records, take notes on it, ask questions on slides. While it may seem a little bit formal, as always, interrupt me and ask for questions. I'll keep looking up if you have a question about something that I'm presenting. So let's get rocking and rolling. And remember, in my past, I have been an adjunct professor in college, so I might get a little bit on my high horse professorship here. So we'll get rolling here on the presentation. So the background for what we're going to do tonight is what I call Parks, Recreation, and Natural Resource Commission 101. It's kind of a quick introductory to what we do as a commission. As an outline, we're going to give you some background, kind of the form of government we are here at the City of Savage. What does the city do and how do we plan? What our commissions are and what their roles are. Some do's and don'ts. That's the basics of commission orientation that you get when you first come on. It's time to make sure everybody's up to date on that. Then more intensely, we're going to talk about the purpose of Parks, Recreation, and Natural Resource Commission, talking about park dedication because that fits into one of the purposes very, very clearly. Talk about the budgeting so you can understand while you don't make decisions on the budget, the decisions you make impact the budgets. And so I want you to understand where the budgeting goes and then what's planned for our commission for 2025 that I know of as today. So let's get started. We are a statutory Plan A form of city government. What that means, and this is how it's defined, is a city council with a weak mayor, meaning all members of the council have equal votes. It's not like the mayor can override things or whatever. They all have equal votes. We have a city administrator versus a city manager. When you hear different cities talk about having a manager, that's a different role than administrator. And really kind of just as a quick reference, when you watch a city council meeting, one of the things you'll hear that during the consent agenda that they'll be asking for action related to staffing, hiring of seasonal staff, hiring of full-time staff. That goes in front of our city council. In a city manager form of government, they don't. The manager hires and fires everybody, where the council hires and terminates employees. As well as then you'll also hear the council approve what they call the accounts payable or the basically pay the bills each month at the meetings. At every one of our meetings, there is something on the general consent agenda that they approve all the expenditures going out the door, where in the city manager form, the city manager and or finance director is authorized to do so. But there are many other things. The role of the council is to plan for future development, carry out programs of housing and redevelopment in the city, levy special assessments, borrow money, control subdivision of land, provide for parks, hey, that's us, parksways and recreational facilities, and appoint you, their commissioners. So the Savage City Council consists of a mayor and 4 council members who set and enforce public policies. If you aren't aware, and maybe just for the general public, because you know this is the most heavily watched of all the commission meetings, that our members of our city council and mayor are not elected by districts or wards or any of that. They are all citywide. And so while they all may live in one portion of the city, they represent the whole city. We have a nice mix on our council right now of our council members and mayor that live all throughout the city of Savage. The city council has an official meeting on the first and third Mondays of the month. That's when they take action. The council work sessions are held on the second Monday of each month. The work sessions are more informal, are open to the public. It is a public meeting, but they're not taking action. It's more a chance for council to dive deeper into the topic at hand. One, for example, that we've talked about ad nauseum recently is the whole cannabis ordinance and how is the city of Savage going to be handling cannabis within Savage. They've really gotten into it and had a lot of work sessions about it because there's a lot to learn because it's brand new. That's just one of many examples that they take up at work sessions. I'll talk to you later on tonight about something they will likely talk about in a lot more work sessions. Our members of the City Council also act as our Economic Development Authority, which make decisions on issues related to economic development. Some council meetings you will hear them say, we're going to adjourn the City Council meeting and adjourn the EDA, or the Economic Development Authority meeting. Our council members also are our economic development folks. And what they do there is they're actually called president instead of mayor, and I can't remember all the rest of the terms, but they just change terms. They don't even move seats. So it gets a little confusing, but I think if you follow the procedures, you understand is where they go. And then many of the projects of the City Council are acted on and are vetted by one of our city's 4 advisory commissions, including the Parks, Recreation, and Natural Resource Commission. Real quickly, if you aren't aware, what do we at the city do? What does the council direct staff and what kind of our service areas are? We have everything from fire, police, parks and rec, public works, engineering, finance, a whole bunch of different things. If you think about it, it's almost 9 different business units in one corporation. So, excuse me, there's lots that we do. This slide in front of you just talks about the different budgets and the different areas, certain like numbers of lane miles and miles of trails and all the different things that we do. That's a lot of work for one organization to do. How does the council do it? They put together a mission statement. It's right in front of you there, to maintain and enhance a high quality of life in the city. We do this through a delivery of reliable, resilient, cost-effective services and thoughtfully planned growth. They have a vision, and then in 2022, they worked on a 3-year strategic plan that's coming to its end of its plan life, if you will, and there'll be another strategic planning session for the next 3 years. And the 4 top priorities that they came up was community identity, doing things that really help our community find their identity, planned redevelopment and downtown renewal, which is really important. You've heard about the downtown redevelopment study. We had the presentations here about that. I'm going to skip down to number 4, which is workforce capacity, which has talked a lot about internally of the city of Savage, attracting and retaining high quality employees, planning for retirement, succession planning, that type of thing. And then the number 3 one, but is most important to us, which is maintain and enhance parks, recreation, trails, and natural resources. And what that's really talking about is the funding for parks and recreation, our trails, and our natural resources. That'll be a big item for this year. Little foreshadowing for you. The city has 4 commissions: planning, PRNRC, Economic Development Commission, and our Community Equity Commission. Several years ago, the Communications Commission dissolved, and we created a new commission called Community Equity Commission. And those 4 are the ones that remain today. Right now we have 2 alternates on our roster of people on our commission. Those alternates are expected to attend meetings. They can participate in the discussion, and they only get a vote when a regular member is absent. And so usually at the beginning of a meeting, if Commissioners Chow or Commissioner Mason, who are our alternates right now, if they are in the vote, I will tell them that they're voting tonight, just so that we kind of keep order and we move forward. Students can be on commissions. We haven't had too many student applicants, but they fill a role as a non-voting or an alternate member on commissions when we have students. The role of the chair, like I talked about briefly before, is to maintain order as she throws her nomination ballots on the floor, encourage discussion, facilitate action and decision-making, and follow parliamentary procedures. We do a pretty good job on this commission of following parliamentary procedures. Council is not asking every commission to be super duper formal, but we do want some formality because the work we're doing is very serious. Even though we like to have some fun with it, that process helps with maintain order and actually follow some logical process and decision-making as we go forward. And then in italics below it says, in absence of the chair, the vice chair shall serve in their role. Now we're going to get into some do's and don'ts for commissioners, and I'm going to go quick through this because when we do this as an overall orientation, the city attorney does this and he gets way in deep into it. I'm not going to get deep into it. I'm going to give you just some highlights. Just some common courtesy things. If you're going to be absent, and you guys do this really well, please let myself and Katie know. Katie's always, not always, she's most of the time at her desk. You can call her, you can send an email in, that works the best. But then she helps keep me in line and say who's coming and who's not coming. If you read your packets beforehand, we try our best to get them out Thursday or Friday before the meeting so you have the weekend to review. If it's something big and something more meaningful, we'll get it out earlier or we'll give you a heads up that it's coming so you can set aside a little time to review your packets. We really appreciate it if you send me your detailed questions ahead of time. Not every question that you're going to come up with, but if it's a question that you know might need a little research on my behalf, rather than me saying, hey, I'm sorry, I'm going to have to get back to you on that one, send it to me ahead of time. I'll come prepared for that. And many of you commissioners have done that. We'll talk about how you send those questions to me, but make sure that you do that ahead of time. If you have a conflict of interest, typically we don't on this commission. We'll talk about that in a minute. Make sure you voice your opinion. Even if there is somebody on this who has come up with a point and they have been very strong about their opinion and you disagree, your opinion matters. And our council has appointed you here to make sure you voice your opinion. So, and as commissioners, nobody takes this personally. You can't take it personally. It's your job to be here to vet out your opinions and your options. Council will listen to you. Council does watch our meetings. They do read your minutes, and so they do pay attention. Do they always have to take your recommendations? No, they don't. But that is your role here, is to submit with one voice, submitting a nomination or a recommendation, to the city council. It can differ from staff. It can differ from, and council can differ from your recommendation, but it's part of the process. That part's really important to me to make sure you all understand. Does that make some sense to all of you? That part? Good, thank you. And then base your decision on information, not emotion. That's really important. If you don't have enough information, ask me. I will do my best to give you as much information as I have. If I don't have any more, you're going to have to go out and get your own information. I know some of our commissioners are great about talking to their neighbors, talking to fellow park users, talking to the kids. I know that one of the favorite things is when we're doing a new playground, having commissioners here during our open house to really listen to the users, to be able to say, what is it you want in this playground? That's really important. And then always, for Katie's benefit and for the benefit for our listening audience at home, speak into the microphone. That really helps. Conflicts of interest. I gave you this slide. I'm not going to read you this slide. Basically, there's state statutes that say if you have decision-making authority and you are a local official, which you are as a commissioner, and you think you have a conflict of interest that fits in one of those 5 categories there, or something on this slide, call me, talk to me. I'll help you. And we'll get our city attorney involved if we have to. Very simply, it's an easy thing to do if you would have a conflict of interest. For example, if we were going to do something with one of your employers, or your employer was asking for something to do something at one of our parks, and I asked for your recommendation, you would probably abstain from the vote because it's your employer. You don't want to show any conflict of interest or bias. I'll give you an example. We have some our city council members who do work in a business that the city does business with. When their business is up for a contract or something like that, they abstain from the vote. It's pretty simple. Talk to me if you have any concerns about this one. Gifts. This one is always tough because you never want to turn away a gift. If somebody's being kind and they want to offer you a gift, you learn over the years how to gracefully say, oh, thank you so much. We get tons of, around the holidays in particular at Public Works, we get boxes of cookies and donuts and everything like that. you know, as an individual, if they give it to me, I always say, thank you so much. I'm going to share with all of the staff. There's sometimes a $1 rule, a $2 rule, a $5 rule. Basically, don't accept gifts. Gone are the days where playground vendors used to go and take park and rec directors out for golf and dinner and all that kind of stuff to get you to go and buy their playgrounds. We don't do that. So as a commissioner, you are subject to this gift ban, if you will. Read through it. If you have any questions, contact me. I'll let you know. If it's a gift in your normal everyday life, obviously, you can accept Christmas presents from your children and your spouse and whatever. But if it's from a vendor or it has to do with your work on the commission, just ask and I'll help you. Open meeting laws. This is the big one, and we'll talk a little bit about this one. It has to get into the fact that what we do is a part of the public process. That's why we're on television. That's why we have minutes. That's why it has to be done in a group. I'm very careful about talking about business-related items with you outside of this meeting, especially if there is a quorum of you. We try not to get you all together in a city park commission function as a quorum, because then it's a public meeting. We have to post it, advertise it, and so on. The materials have to be available to the public and all these different criteria that are on this slide. We work really hard to avoid violations of the open meeting laws. Here's the next slide is the one that really kind of cuts it down for us. You can have casual conversations with your friends, your neighbors, people about the parks. Absolutely you can. You can even talk to another commissioner. If you see them at an event, you can just say, hey, how you doing? You know, great to see you. If they start to say, hey, you know, do you think maybe we should talk to Greg about doing this, or at the next commission meeting we should do this? Just stop the conversation right there and just say, no thanks. Remember, we can't have those discussions. It's pretty simple. I'm probably being very, very conservative with the law, but I'm just trying to protect you and give you enough information. Social gatherings. You can be out. You can be socially together. You know, quite honestly, Commissioner Scheer and I have been at many social gatherings together. Our children were friends growing up. That's not a problem. We don't talk shop when we're doing social gatherings. You can, when I'm in my role as staff member and you have a question individually, you can contact me. You certainly can contact me at any time. But if you do it individually, that's great. I will respond back to you individually or to the entire commission if it's for the entire commission, if that makes some sense. One of the things that we have to really be careful of is email communication. And you notice at the bottom of every email that Katie sends out or I send out, we have the note. Reminder that per the Minnesota open meeting laws, please do not reply all to this email. You are welcome to call or email Greg or Katie individually with any questions or comments regarding the upcoming meeting. Thank you. That's just a reminder to you to not get debates going on email, on social media, on any of that kind of stuff. Social media is the last thing on this open meeting law. Yes, you do represent the city of Savage as a commissioner. If you find yourself getting into a discussion on social media regarding the parks, recreation, or natural resources, or any city-related business, you are doing so as an individual, as a resident of this community. Please do not put on your park commissioner hat and say, well, I'm a commissioner, and this is what I know. If you want to do that, you need to contact staff, and we will then, as a city, go through our communications division, and communications will send out the city message. Individually, you can share information with your friends and so on about what's going on here. I don't know if any of you follow me on social media, but I do a lot of reposting of the City of Savage stuff. That's fine. You can do that. Just getting into discussions or basically having a meeting on social media would be a no-no. Does that make sense? Great. Okay, now the more fun stuff. That's all the do's and don'ts and all that kind of good stuff. Here we go. This is more of the purpose of the Parks, Recreation, and Natural Resource Commission. Our commission works with our staff, so you all work with me, to provide input and make recommendations regarding the recreational programming and the acquisition and development of parks. I am the official staff liaison to the commission, and our meetings regularly take place on the fourth Monday of the month at 7 p.m. here at City Hall, and they are televised. So what does this mean, recreation programming? I pulled out some bullets for you so that you would have an idea of what I'm talking about when it says recreation programming. Your job is to help me, and advise the City Council on what recreation programs, areas, more general areas, we should add or remove, and what facilities we should add or remove. Not specific programs, meaning if we're going to offer 18 youth programs, I'm not going to ask you, should we run this program or should we run that program? We're going to run youth programs. But if we're not doing a lot for seniors, I'm going to bring to you a proposal to say, we're going to add more senior programming, and here's why, and here's some of the examples of programs. And then you would make a recommendation to City Council to say, yep, we should be adding some senior programming, and as such, they're going to need more resources to do that. Or, no, we don't think seniors, I'm using it as an example, we think teenagers, or we think arts programming, or we think this. We might think yes to all of it. Obviously, we know we have limited resources. That's why you come into play. You get to vet the various different information that I present to you. You then make a recommendation to the City Council. As I said before, Council can take your recommendation or not. More often than not, they take your recommendation because that's why you're here. That's why they've appointed you to this commission. Updating programs offered and facilities provided. Coming up this year, you'll see in our work plan, one of the big ones is our skating rink program. Staff has some ideas of what to do, and it'll be a significant change. We'll be vetting that through you as a commission. You will make your recommendation to the City Council and to staff. I will bring that recommendation forward to the City Council. Whether or not you agree with staff's recommendation, I bring yours forward. Council then makes a decision and directs staff to provide the service at whatever level they deem necessary. Does that make sense? That's one example of many. And then a lot of times what we'll do is when we get the city survey done every 2 years, we bring the results in. I have not done that yet from this last year. That needs to be something I'll get on your calendar coming up here in an upcoming meeting. We'll have Emily, our communications director, come in and kind of give you a one sheet about Parks and Recreation and how we fared on the city survey. Quick little insight. We did really well with our trails, really well with our parks. Programming didn't do so great, and that's okay. That doesn't mean they don't like our programs. It means the community wants more or the community wants something different. And you'll see that when they bring forward the information on city survey results. The other part of your role is the acquisition and development of parks. Your role here is to help guide the planning documents. Remember over the 2023 season, end of 22 and through 23, we spent a lot of time on the Park Master Plan. You heard a lot of presentations from our consultants. You recommended to the City Council as a body, you recommended to the City Council approving the Park Master Plan, and then Council heard those pretty much the exact same information, but they knew it was vetted through you. They watched your discussion, we moved on, and we got those master plan approved. From that master plan is what guides my work and the work that we do in Parks and Recreation. Other master plans that you've been involved in is the pedestrian bicycle master plan. We did that years ago, so many of you commissioners may or may not have been involved heavily in that process. I know that that process was how we got some of our commissioners to jump on board with us, which is great. Excuse me. Upcoming, we are putting together in collaboration with Jonah Reyes, our natural resource technician, who's come and presented to this commission before. Jonah is be working on the natural resource master plan for the city as well. That's another thing that'll be coming to, I'm not sure if it'll be later this year or next, but it's coming soon. The other big thing is development. You always are hearing from these planners that come up here and say, hey, we got this new development coming in and they're gonna talk about park dedication. Well, I wanted to pause for a minute in this 101 session and let's really talk about park dedication and what is it to make sure everybody's on the same page, okay? Park dedication is a part of our city code. It is city code section 151.13 called park dedication. You can go to our city code on our website, type in 151.13 and you'll get this exact information. The part on your slides and on the slides on the screen that are in boxes are the actual language from the code. The part that's not in the box is my effort to make it more plain language. Park dedication ordinances are enacted to ensure that new development will contain enough space for parks, trails, open space, and recreational areas. Now, that's not possible in every place, but every new development needs to add to our park system in some way, shape, or form. Here's where it talks about why it gives the City Council the authority to set up this part of code or this ordinance. On the next page, there are two ways of methods of dedication. One is land dedication. Here you have the language now in front of you. You can keep this for your reference. It talks about what kind of land do we go for if we're going for land in a residential development or a non-residential development, the commercial, the industrial, the things that are non-residential. Keep those two terms in mind, residential, non-residential. We're actually changing some language in our fee schedule to reflect that, to make it more clear for developers to understand, will they be considered residential or are they considered non-residential as they bring forward their project? Because of what they have to dedicate for land is different, and if we do the next option, which is fees in lieu of land, it's different. In a quick overview, do you have any questions on land dedication? The next one is fees in lieu of land, and it's a monetary contribution for future park development paid for by developers as part of the permitting process. The one thing that I really want to make sure you understand is that it is put into the fee schedule. The amount that we collect or can charge and collect is established annually in the fee schedule. We have not updated that fee in 9 years, and we will be doing that this year. It is not something that we've had the staff capacity to really invest into. We do now, and it's something that we will be looking forward to doing. The current rates are a residential who would be paying fees in lieu of land is $3,842 per dwelling unit for both single family and multifamily. So if it's a single family development and it's meaning just a single family house, every one of those units, they pay $3,842. If it's an apartment complex that has 300 units in that smaller bit of land, they pay $3,842 per unit for all 300 of those units. If it's non-residential, they pay $8,937 per net developable acre. It describes all of that in the box for you. Okay? One thing that I really want to make sure you understand is that there is the ability to combine fees and land. In one places that there may be an area that in our master plan, we have said we need a park in this area, but the one part of that development is too small to sustain the entire park. We may want a small chunk of that land for park, so we will work with the developers for that small chunk of land, and that did not satisfy their full park dedication commitment, and so then the rest will be paid in fees. Commissioner Peterson, if you will.
Thank you. Just clarify, because I remember we had an open discussion a few months back in terms of if there is a development, primarily residential, and it will happen in multiple phases. Let's just say arbitrarily 10 phases. And there's, how exactly does that play into this? Like the 10% versus, can you hit that one really solid? Because I'm a little fuzzy on that one.
Chair and Commissioner Peterson, that's why I have gray in my goatee. No, I will do my best to try to hit it solid for you because it does get confusing. I rely on our planners and our community development staff a lot with this because they're the ones guiding all of the land use. Let's make it simple. If they're coming in and they're saying we're going to develop this whole area and we are platting, that's a development term, platting the whole area, then they pay the entire park dedication commitment, whether it's fees or it's land at once. Okay? If they plat just this part and this part or this part, they only pay for the parts that they plat. So the park dedication is only charged when it's platted, is my understanding of exactly the function, how we do it here in Savage. So, for example, redevelopment comes into play. If they're redeveloping something and it's been platted once, now they're platting it for some other use, park dedication can come into play again, is my understanding. Again, I am not an attorney. We will vet all of that through our attorneys and making sure that our planning staff guide me on all of this. I just give yep, we're going to go for land, or nope, we would like to go for the fees on this one. And then they bring it forward to you as a recommendation for that. Because the park search areas really guide us. I'm just not going to say willy-nilly, Greg thinks we need a park here. We have the whole planning document that says this is where we'd like to have our parks. Did that help?
Clarification. By the way, again, this is something I think is very important, is as we look at development, even though it's not as much occurring as there used to be. So if I have a very large area and I'm going to have, again, arbitrarily 10 different phases of development, and I plat then X number of homes, the developer then is responsible in terms of park dedication for only the number of homes in that plat.
That is correct.
Okay, and regardless of how much is going to happen over time.
That is correct. The great example of that is the Prior Lake aggregate site or the Big Sky development. They are doing it in phases. They're paying park dedication per phase because that's all they're platting. However, that is a major park search area for us. And so we went to the developer and the landowner and said, hey, look, we're going to want a whole park in this area. Can you give us an idea, landowner, of what you're going to look for in terms of selling your property and what kind of developments will come in here? And they gave us what's called a sketch plan. It's non-binding, but it is an idea of what it would look like so that we can get an idea of where our park could go, what kind of land are they looking to dedicate to us, all of that type of thing. And we read it through these ordinances that says, you know, is the land suitable? Does it really fit our needs? We get enough land? Does it fit our parkland need here? And if it does, cool. We give them a thumbs up and we work in collaboration. That's where really the partnership between the city, the landowner, and the developer all work together to make things happen. So it gets complicated and it gets confusing. I say I go gray or had hair when I started working here because it is complicated and we work, but thank goodness we have awesome planners here and they help me out a lot.
That what I heard you say, to clarify, that is then up to the developer to decide to collaborate? Or is that a mandate?
That's a tricky one to answer. Chair and Commissioner Peterson, I would say that it is up to both parties to come to a resolution together to choose to collaborate. Can we force them to collaborate with us? I'm not going to get into that to say yes we can or no we can't, because that's not the relationship we want to develop. If we get to a point where they're just saying absolutely not and we're saying absolutely you have to, that rarely occurs. It has occurred in my career. We work together. We sit down and we talk it out. We figure out what are the needs of the developer, what are the needs of the city. The city says this is what we really want to do here. And the developer comes back and says, okay, you know what? For us financially, it's not going to make sense for us to do that development and put that piece of parkland here. But, we got those future phases. We're going to really earmark those future phases. And then the council, here's my recommendation and your recommendation to take fees in this one and then go for land in another. That's a risk, but it played off for us. That's how we got Creek Hill Park, for example. Creek Hill Park, there was a part of a multi-phase development out there. I had heard from the residents that they really wanted a park in the Creek Hill neighborhood. All I knew was the next development that was coming, and that was one phase, and it was only 15, 20 homes, something like that. And I said, we want parkland. And they said, oh no, we don't want to do parkland in this one. We'll give you parkland in the next one, and here's a great spot for a park. And we worked together, and it worked. And so there's a lot of relationship development, trust, good business practices that we do with our developers, and really hard work on the city staff side, but equally as much hard work on the staff side of the developers to work together with us. And it's really mutual benefit. Parks are usually not controversial because they add value to the homes, and it really is an attractive part of selling the homes in those areas, so it works really pretty well.
Okay, thank you. Sorry.
You're welcome.
Take so much on this topic.
You're fine. Any other questions so far? Okay, that's your quick down and dirty on land dedication or park dedication, either land or fees in lieu of land. The last thing under acquisition and development is improvements and maintenance. We also bring to you ideas of, hey, we're going to do some major change at this park, or we're going to redo this. Not every capital item comes before you, but many of the big ones do. When we were putting in the new skate park, or when we're doing the new turf at the Dome, those are the big ones. When I'm going to do some concrete in one area and put a new trail in that just is replacing an old trail, I'm not bringing that to you. I don't want to waste your time, nor it's more of a function of staff to just get that in the budget and make it happen than it is to have vetted through the Park Commission. But we will work with you, and I try to, in my updates, keep you updated on all the things that we're doing. That's why I do an update each week as well, or each month. So the next part of this then that falls hand in hand with land dedication or park dedication, operations and maintenance, and all the different functions of staff and you guys, where does the money go? So I'm going to give you a quick budget lesson. This is down and dirty and it is not detailed, but it's detailed enough that I think will give you some guidance. Number one, the general fund. The general fund is our primary operating fund used to finance most government services. It accounts for revenues and expenditures not assigned to a specific purpose, but ensuring essential services like public safety, parks, libraries, and administration occur. Does that make sense? So we collect money. It's not designated for a specific reason. It goes to the general fund. The general fund is then divided up amongst all those 9 different business units that we talked about, and then we each get our own budgets that we get to work from for our general operating monies. Our sources of revenue for this are property taxes. That is our primary source. The others are fees that we collect, so the fees we charge for programs, for rentals, those types of things. Permits, when you apply for a building permit and so on. Fines and penalties, if you speed down the road and you happen to get caught and you get fined for driving down the road, you might have to pay into that. That comes into our general fund. Intergovernmental revenues, when we get state or federal aid or grants, that comes into our general fund. And other miscellaneous revenue, interest earnings, service charges, and so on. General fund. Moving on, where does the money come from? It can also come into an enterprise fund, like our Savage Sports Center is an enterprise fund. It's self-sustaining fund, and it's used to account for services that operate like a business, where fees are charged to users to cover the costs of operations, maintenance, and capital improvements. These funds ensure that specific public services are financed independent from the general fund. That is the overall idea of an enterprise fund. That's the overall idea of an enterprise fund. I say that twice. Usually, recreation facilities, when they're an enterprise fund, are not self-sustaining, but they're set up that way from an accounting standpoint because it's really important to track every dollar that goes into that Savage Sports Center. But quite honestly, by fees and charges that we would charge to use the dome, there's really no way that we would be able to cover everything without some support from the general fund. Okay? The key features of an enterprise fund is that they're self-supporting. I just told you that not all of them are. They business-like accounting. That helps a lot for our audit purposes and to be accountable to our residents. And then restricted use. Funds are dedicated for the specific service and cannot be deviated to other governmental functions. A better example for this is the water sewer fund. When you pay your water bill each month, there are things that go into your water bill that are dedicated just to the provision of water and sewer services here in Savage. That is a true enterprise fund, okay? Where recreational facilities, they are a true enterprise fund, but they need help because they're just so gosh darn expensive to operate. It's why you don't see private entities, let me rephrase, you don't see many private entities operating many of the recreational facilities that local governments do. Municipal swimming pools, a large swimming pool out for the public to use. You go to a private swimming pool for the public to use, it's really expensive. You go to a local swimming pool, it's probably less expensive. You go to the Savage Sports Center. If that was a private-run dome, you might be paying a lot more money to use that dome. Ice skating rinks, community centers, curling clubs, different things that municipals get into for recreational facilities. Is that making some sense? So for us, we cover a lot of our costs through our fees. You'll see here coming up when I show you the report for the Savage Sports Center for the last month that we are going to fall short again this year. That's planned. We know that because we know, and our council's made that decision, that to operate that sports center, it cannot be self-sufficient. It just can't do it. Otherwise, we'd be charging $8 billion to go rent the field, and you just couldn't, no one would use it. It's really an asset to the community. Many other benefits. Commissioner Peterson?
Question, is our programming, all the many wonderful programs that we have make available to the community. Is that under an enterprise fund concept, or is that different?
Chair, Commissioner Peterson, no, those are under the general fund for the most part. Pretty much every program we run, Tiny Tots Camp, Community Adventures Camp, pickleball leagues, pickleball tournaments, our Halloween bash, all of that is under the general fund. Everything that is at the sports center for the provision of the sports center, the rentals, all of that is under the enterprise fund. If one of our general fund programs uses the sports center, is a discussion point. We have typically not been charged, the general fund has not been directly charged for use of the sports center. That's getting way into the weeds of how we'd make decisions, but I wanted you to be aware of this, because when you hear me say enterprise fund, and then I come back and say that the sports center doesn't make money, you understand, because it is a very expensive facility to operate, and that's why it's a community asset. Okay? Commissioner Lund?
With regards to park recreation and natural resources, are there any other enterprise funds in that
No.
sector? Okay.
The short answer is no. The only enterprise fund that I am responsible for under my leadership is the sports center. There are many other enterprise funds within the city, the liquor fund, the water sewer fund, there are others. And there's different kinds of funds too. There's going to be a special revenue fund and so on. We'll talk about a couple more here coming up. But this is the only enterprise fund for parks, recreation, and natural resources. I think I'm saying this correctly. I can't think of one that I'm missing, is the sports center. Moving on. The park dedication fees that we talked about just in the last couple of slides, those go into the 509 account. The 509 account is called the Park Dedication Fund. It is a capital project fund used by local governments to finance the acquisition, development, and improvement of public parks and recreational facilities. It is typically funded through park dedication fees, which are collected, like we talked about, when land's developed. These funds ensure that the community, as the community grows, there are adequate parks and green spaces to serve residents. The key features of this is really important. Funds can only be used for parkland acquisition, improvements, or expansion, not for general maintenance and operations. We are really defining that more closely in this coming year, and you'll hear more about this as we go throughout our year, because one of our major topics coming up this year is funding for parks and recreation and natural resource programming and services and facilities and parks, is really understanding that park dedication, and this isn't the law, but the best rule of thumb is for new things. That's what you can use park dedication for. A new park, a new playground at that new park, a new trail in that new park, okay? Other funds pay for, oh, we got to redo the ball field and we got to redo this. That should be other funds. It kind of gets into splitting some hairs, because is it a new thing when we rip up the parking lot and start all over and make a new parking lot? It can be that way. We're trying to get more clear cut in how we utilize those funds. That's the intention of the law. We have worked with our attorney, we've worked with the legislature. They're giving all of us in the park and rec world guidance on this, and people do it kind of all different ways. So we're trying to do our way to be very clear. Okay? The other one is the 511 account. Now on this slide, there are some things in yellow. I got a little ahead of myself and printed before I realized I didn't get my slide completely done. So look at the slide that's in front of you and make notes on your slide. All right, so the 511 fund is also a capital improvement fund used by local governments to finance the capital replacement, repairs of parks and recreation facilities. Okay? These next two bullets aren't really clearly on your slide. It is typically funded normally by setting aside a dedicated levy. We don't do that right now. We may be doing that into the future. Other sources like cell tower revenues. When we have cell towers in our parks, the revenue from those rents and leases go right into our 511 account. We get donations, we get grants, we get all kinds of different revenues. They don't make up a lot of money, but that's why we are really going to be looking at these two accounts as we go forward into this year, both the 509 and the 511 accounts, for new things and replacement of the things that we have. Okay, make sure you remove that second bullet onto the bottom part, because I goofed up and just copied the slide from before and left it on there, and it wasn't supposed to be. So it's unrestricted use, meaning park dedication is restricted for new stuff. Our park improvement fund or park maintenance fund, it's a capital fund, meaning for those things that are more expensive, but it's unrestricted. We can use it for anything in the park that we want to. Replacement, new, whatever we want to. And the maintenance, of course, helps ensure that parks infrastructure is well maintained and or replaced. Any questions on that? Sorry, I will leave that slide back up for just a second so your notes can be updated if you need one more second. I can always pull this up at the end of the meeting and you can go through that again if you'd like. My apologies for my haste in printing. So where else does the money come from? It comes from other funds, like our liquor fund. Our liquor operation here in Savage has done gangbusters the last couple years. Thank you to all of our residents who support our liquor operations. Those funds go into a variety of sources throughout the city. One of the major benefactors or recipients is Parks and Recreation. The ELC was funded a lot through liquor funds. The playground at Community Park, the new playground we had to put in, was funded by a lot by our liquor fund. Our liquor funds help with the pickleball courts. They've helped with a lot of the new stuff that you've seen around here. It is a really great option for a source of revenue coming in from our residents and our users of our liquor stores to fund various things throughout the city. And again, Park and Rec is a huge benefactor. The Community Investment Fund is another fund within the city that can transfer money out. It's monies that are levied and allocated into this fund that can go, hey, we're going to help out the sports center this year. We're going to do this one this year. We're going to go over, spend some money on this year. Community Investment Fund is an option that the council in the past has used a lot. I'm not going to get into the great detail of how it's funded and all that, but it's there. So if you heard Community Investment Fund, just know that that is not the most reliable source for parks going into the future. And then, of course, donations. And one of our largest donors has been the Burnsville Savage Lions Club, as well as Cargill, as well as, oh my gosh, I don't want to leave anybody out, so please, don't think me not mentioning the name is not that we don't appreciate it. We have lots of individual donors. We have people who donate their time, their treasure to us, and it's been wonderful. And we are very appreciative, in particular, to those that the big sponsors that continually, time and time again, step up. And one of the big ones is the Burnsville Savage Lions Club, as well as Cargill, as well as many other employers here in Savage. So that's it. That's your 101. That gives you kind of an update of you guys help me decide what programming and facilities we provide and the use of parks. And you recommend to the city council those things based on park dedication, based on where the budgeting is, based on what you believe as residents our parks and recreation and natural resources need here in our community. So what's planned for 2025 for you? Number one is to provide input and recommend to the city council for a park financing plan. More to come. I've been working diligently behind the scenes, crafting the message, crafting the plan, giving you options in the plan. It's identified in our park master plan very clearly, so if you read that, it talks about where we're going to be deficient in funding and some options for us to be that we can explore. We're exploring all those options, and we'll be bringing forward to you a plan. And it's going to be hard. And there's options in this plan from what I call the bare bones to the extra large option. The bare bones would basically be if something fails, we take it out. That's bare bones. We don't replace. To all the way to splash pads and community centers and everything and every pie in the sky thing that we can think about. And how much money is it going to take us to do that? Well, we pretty much know that over the next 20 years, it will take us about $70 million to do the large or extra large plans. More to come. I'll give you a lot more information about that as we go forward. The next thing on your to-do list this year will be provide input and recommended changes for their skating rink and warming house program. I'm not going to give you just a snippet of a highlight on that. Skating has changed since I was a kid, since my kids were kids, and now that we want great skating for our community, but how do we do that sustainably and utilize those general fund resources that pay for skating rinks? See, I can say that now. And how do we best utilize those resources? We think we have some ideas, and we'd like to propose some things as a pretty significant change. to still provide a great skating opportunity, but maybe done differently where we can be more efficient. More to come on that. Provide input and recommended changes to our facility use policy. That's a policy that we have in place of how we go about assigning recreational facilities to our various user groups. Recreation Manager Chris Dill will be coming, and he'll be presenting to you the policy and some changes that we'd like to make to it or to beef it up. It's been several years since we brought this forward. We want to revisit this policy. We should be doing that. We look at them every year, but we should really be revisiting them and revising them about every 3 to 5 years. And this one is overdue because use have changed in our parks and the user groups have changed. And we want to make sure we're serving Savage residents well, and we're serving the programs that serve our Savage residents well as then serving our surrounding communities so our Savage residents have the opportunity to recreate together. So we'll share more about that in the coming months as well. And there will be a lot more to come. A lot of times the things I bring forward to you are a little bit less planned from February looking forward to August. These are the biggies. That's enough for a year. That's a lot for a year. We'll have other things that we'll bring forward. One of the big ones I talked to you about last month was the skate park shelter. We've got to kind of change gears on that. We've had some changes to that. We'll be bringing forward a new proposal for that. You'll get to give input into that as well. So that's pretty much it for my 101. Hopefully that wasn't too boring. I will try to go as quickly as I could. That's not too bad. I look at the clock. I wasn't going to look at the whole time. I did it under the goal of mine that I wanted to. Do you have any questions for me?
Yes, Mr. Boatman. What does the ELC fall under?
The McCall Pond Environmental and Events Center is the official name. The ELC falls under our general fund operating budget, if that's the question you're asking me.
Mm-hmm. And so the revenue from that goes into the return to the
goes
same
to
fund.
the general fund. Yep, all revenues from the general fund go into the general fund. And so we track it to see expenses related to the ELC and revenues brought in for the ELC. But overall, as a city, it is tracked. Don't want you to think that we're not tracking that, but it really goes into the big pot. Goes into the big pot of all the revenues for the general fund and all the expenditures of the general fund.
Yeah, I just, the whole discussion about enterprise got me thinking about the ELC and how that ended up different from the sport dome.
That decision was made prior to my time here. There's some benefits of doing it as an enterprise. And really, again, if you go back to my statement that recreational facilities are challenging to run as a true enterprise facility, does it really make sense to do it that way? And at the time, the finance department and administration just determined it didn't make sense. So let's just have it as part of the general fund. Operationally, just so you know, my staff tracks it pretty much as an enterprise fund. We're tracking all of our expenditures, all of our revenues, all of that in our own way. Mm-hmm. And we can report that out if need be. How is the ELC doing? I can give you a thumbs up on that.
All right. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Actually, a request. This is a great information. Great job. Can this be sent out in a digital format? Because I am just not a paper girl. I like to get stuff like this and save it on my computer and have it as reference in a digital format.
Chair, Commissioner Peterson, just for you, we can do that. I will PDF the presentation, actually by me saying I will do it. Katie will PDF the presentation and send it out to you in the coming couple of days.
Thank you.
Thanks, Kate.
I lose paper. What can I say?
Any other questions?
No.
All right. Greg, can you provide us with your director update?
Thank you, Chair. Commissioners, are you sick of hearing me yet? Okay, we'll go quick. Not a lot to update you on from last month. We wood chipped the trail around the Trout Run neighborhood. It is an established wood chip trail that needed some maintenance. One of the things that we noticed is that some of the residents that their backyards abut the trail and park property didn't understand where the park boundaries were. And so unintentionally, we're going to say that, maybe encroached upon some parkland. So over the last couple of years, we've been working with them to say, hey, your stuff is on parkland, and we've got a project plan for 2025 to come in and re-wood chip everything. And they said, oops, sorry, we'll move our stuff. And they did, and then we wood chipped the trail. Beautiful time of the year to do it. When the things are frozen, we can drive equipment in there and we're not ripping everything up. So thank you to the parks crew who did that. They did that in collaboration with the institutional community work crew that comes in. That's our contracted laborers on Mondays and Tuesdays. And then our crew did that all last week. It turned out great. So the new enhanced wood chip trail down there. Creek Hill Park, just an update from last time. We are still on track for a grand opening sometime here in late spring, early summer of 25. To get that playground installed and to get the ornamental and shade trees planted this coming spring. If the weather continues like it is planned for this week, hey, we might be doing it next week. I'm just kidding. Probably not going to happen. Programmatically, our spring summer brochures are out. Hopefully each of you got your brochure in the mail. Thank you for your head nods. I appreciate that. That's always a double check. When I get mine in the mail at home, I always bring it into the office and say, they're out. And that kind of is a way for all of us to know that, okay, we should be getting phone calls. As a quick reminder, Katie, you want to help me out with this? When does resident registration start for youth programs?
March 4th,
And non-resident?
March 6th.
So if you are a resident and want to get rolling, make sure you plan for midnight, March 4th. If you really want to get into a program, make sure that your username and password's up to date, your household's up to date. I've got awesome people on the other end of the phone. Give us a call at Park and Rec. You can talk to Katie, you can talk to Tammy, you can talk to Joe, you can talk to me, you can talk to Chris or Dan. Any one of us can help you update your household to make sure you and your family are ready for resident or non-resident registration come March 4th and 6th.
Correct.
Thank you. We are also getting ready for summer staffing for both recreation and maintenance positions. The website is up. The positions are out. Make sure that you are telling your friends, neighbors, fellow savage people, non-savage people, you want a cool summer job and you want to go out and be on a mower and mow ball fields and set up ball fields and do some great labor, but be done by 3 o'clock on most days. Come join us in park maintenance. You have to be 18 to do park maintenance work because of the nature of the equipment that we use and the safety requirements that we need to follow. For recreation, that's a different story. We work a little bit longer days. We're working when people are recreating. We can take kids as young, potentially as 14 in some of our areas. Mostly we look for people about 16. It's not a requirement, but it's something that we're looking for a level of maturity and a level of responsibility. So that's just as a rule of thumb for most things that are out there. Our facilities, our ELC, reservations are steady and doing well. Wanted to give you that quick update. Our skating rink program, we are pretty much done. This 50 degrees, 60, did it get 60 today? I don't think somebody might have said that. But the 50 plus degrees and the 40s overnight destroyed our rinks in about 2 days. So while we do have some ice left on some of our rinks, they're pretty wet. We will continue to try to maintain as best as we can, but we're not going to be making any new ice any time in the near future, even if it goes below freezing at night. Folks, it may just freeze up for the night, but by the next morning, it's just water again. Yep. The angle of the sun gets up there and it hits the north sides of the rink and they start melting like crazy. So skate at your own risk. The lights on timers will still be on. Warming houses are not open, but you can skate for as long as there's ice. We will basically say they're shut down, but if you want to skate, go ahead. We will make a decision about shutting off the lights. Shutting off the lights sometime in the very near future. Don't have a specific date yet. Some exciting things. This has been a long time coming. At the Savage Sports Center, we are creating a wall of fame. Not a hall of fame, not a you got to do this in order to get on the wall. This is a place to recognize kids, I say kids, people who have done outstanding things in their sports career, who have participated in something at our Savage Sports Center. It's a way for kids to be able to, first of all, it's a way to decorate the Sports Center lobby because that lobby is pretty boring. But it's also a way for young people to walk in there and say, hey, I know that kid. Or, hey, I know that person. Wow, that guy plays for the Brewers. Well, he doesn't anymore, but his picture says he does. Or that kid, she's an Olympian. Holy cow, they're from Savage. So it's really cool. So I'm going to show you a picture of what it's going to look like. So if you recognize the pictures up on top, those are the existing mural pictures that are on the wall. So it's going to be on the wall where the Lost and Found is, if that helps you. So as you enter into the lobby of the Sports Center, it'll be the wall to the right. It's the large wall that's there. It'll say Wall of Fame. It'll have the logo underneath it, and we will have the capacity to put that many pictures up. Oh. Right now, that's the pictures we currently have. We will be adding more. In fact, we've already added more pictures to this group. Once the wall goes up and the pictures go up, we will add lots more because they'll come out of the woodwork. Eventually, we'll have to get really some strict criteria of who goes on the wall and who doesn't. But to get it started, these are people that we know from our community who should be up on that wall. There's lots of other kids in this community who are doing great things that we don't know about, and we want to know about them, and we want their picture up on the wall. For example, the young gentleman from Prior Lake Schools who participated in the Australia Open Junior Tennis Program and won in doubles or something like that. I was like, he's a kid from Prior Lake Schools? Let's get him on the wall. We got to reach out and find him and get a hold of him and get his picture. So what I want to show you is the close-up. These are our close-up pictures of the residents that we have up there. Just to kind of go from left to right, starting at the top. That's Jackson Judding. He's playing hockey, Division I hockey for Bemidji State. We have Jack Ashan, who plays for the Boston Bruins in hockey. He's a Burnsville grad. Sorry, Jackson Judding is a graduate from Prior Lake High School. And then there's Abby Bollicky, our Paralympian, our two-time medal-winning Paralympian, right here from Savage. We're just so proud of Abby. She's such a great kid, too. By the way, Abby has helped me out in a lot of different areas, not only just by being an awesome athlete, but she has come in, like when we did our new playground over at Community Park, she took her wheelchair and she wheeled around and she climbed all over it. And she said, Greg, this is awesome. This is so accessible. And I said, okay, Abby, not every kid who uses a wheelchair or walker is an Olympic athlete. Can you tone it down a little bit? And she gave me a really good perspective that I don't have because I don't use a wheelchair. We have Brock Besser on the top right. He plays hockey for the Winnipeg something or another's. He plays for Winnipeg. Bottom left is, what's her name there? Oh, Hansen girl, Maya Hansen. Maya is a great soccer player, plays for the, help me out here. Aurora, thank you. I could not think of that name.
She's leaving for Iceland next week.
She's leaving for Iceland next week?
Yep.
To go play soccer?
Yep.
Awesome. Maya is a great soccer player. She's plays Division I soccer, and it's cool because professional soccer is a little different than some other sports where you can play professionally but also still play your college. Is she in Iowa now?
She's graduated.
She's graduated. See, I can't keep up with all these young people. I've known Maya since she was a little itty-bitty squirt, so now to see her graduating from college makes me feel really old. The next one is Maya was a Burnsville high school person. Brock Besser was Burnsville. Abby was Burnsville. Justice Perry is the next young lady on there who plays softball. Justice went to Prior Lake High School. I've known Justice since she was literally an 8U softball player, and she's grown up. She played softball at Auburn University and has gone on and is continuing to play professional softball, which is pretty awesome to get Justice's picture up there. And then we have the Carlson boys, both Max and Sam Carlson, two young guys from Savage that play professional baseball. One is in the minor league still, but he's playing professionally, and Sam on the far right, we got that when he's with the Seattle Mariners, that picture. He was with the Brewers, and now I can't remember who he's with now, but these are awesome young people in our community who have done great things in sports. Do they have to accomplish professional sports to get on the wall? I don't care. We want cool people doing cool things so that our young people have some great young athletes to look up to say, hey, if they can do it, I can put my mind to it and accomplish anything I want to. I may not be an Olympian, but I can accomplish great things in my life. And that's what these young people have all said. And they were all thrilled to get their picture. And they're all autographed and signed, and they will all be up on the wall. So that's a new thing that's coming here in March. So when it's up and installed, we'll report on it next month for you, and you can come out over and take a look. The other thing is our Sports Center report for you, like we did last month. I trimmed it down a little bit, but wanted to give you a couple of updates here. Here's the estimated monthly revenue by month. You see the circle that just popped onto your screen. If I look at the number right, it looks like it's over $100,000. That's our estimated revenue by month. It's arguably the best month that we've had so far this year, in the sense of what we probably will have. January is usually one of our busiest months. As you can see by past revenues that have come in, the January, February, March timeframe is our busiest time at the Sports Center.
Makes sense.
Come on. And then here is the estimated operational expenses by month. You'll notice that circle that says we had a huge savings of $8,000 in our heating costs for the gas bill. That not only has to do with the fact that we had a little warmer January than we had in the past, but mostly due to the fact that we negotiated a lower rate, a significantly lower rate for the energy that's there. And then so you'll see that circle that pops up there, that's our estimated expenditures for the month of January. As a reminder, our next meeting is March 24th. And with that, I'll stand for any questions you have about anything I reported on tonight. Sorry for being so long-winded.
Thank you, Mr. Boatman. Anybody have any questions? No? Well, I thank you for our 101 course. That was enlightening. Great to learn all that. And I want to say thank you to everyone who's here for another year on the commission. Thank you for volunteering to serve the city in this way. And with that, we'll see you on March 24th. Our meeting is adjourned.
Hi, I'm the cable company.
And I'm your city. Over the years, the cable company and I have made many financial agreements so they can continue to bring cable television to
Me, a resident of your city.
part of our agreement with the cable company allows us to use the franchise fees to create
Me, your local community cable channel. We provide direct communication from your city to you, the resident, in the form of city meetings, special programming, and local information you can't find anywhere else.
And thanks to you, local channel, I am able to stay informed in what's happening in my city.
And together with our cable company partner, we're able to provide a state-of-the-art cable system to your home.
And our partnership keeps our residents engaged in their community.
So thank you, your city and cable company, for providing funding so local channel can continue to provide me with a diversity of information that strengthens our community.
Log on to learn more about what your local cable channel does for your community.
Be in the picture.
If you know the answer, hit the light.
I'm not good at trivia.
All right, good luck.
Good luck.
How many sworn police personnel do we have?
37. I want to say 32.
I didn't even
She
see
got
the
it.
number.
Her hand was below.
24?
38.
Yes, it's funny. How many miles of roadway are in Savage? Jesse.
528.
Wrong.
What? Hold on, I'm trying to add it up. 170.
Whoa.
250.
Only 250?
I was winging it.
1,612.
It's 166.4.
That's it? It's like how much we drive in a shift.
To date, how many awards has communications won?
Oh, that's
All of them.
Too many.
7.
6.
20. 21. Good job, Lindsay.
Congratulations.
How many inspections were completed in 2023? And this is building inspections.
120.
1,500.
250.
6,861.
You're saying they don't do much. No, just kidding.
Okay, not even close.
Nope.
How many feet is the tallest water tower?
Oh, good grief.
You better get this one.
I just read this too. 65.
168 feet.
475.
I'm going to say 9-story building, 90.
401. It is 176 feet.
Wow, we are not even close.
Does the hill count? Because it's on a huge hill.
It is on a huge hill. How many fire hydrants are in the city?
695. 3,862.
8,000.
Take a guess.
I'm just going to take a guess because why not? 500.
I'll let you
1,896.
1,879.
Oh. What? It's gone down since 23. Or our report is wrong.
Our report's wrong. What is code enforcement's most common complaint?
That they have to enforce codes.
It's a really good one.
Complaint.
Oh, did I eat your finger? Sorry.
Trash cans.
Weeds and grass.
What year was Savage established?
Oh. 1904.
There's gotta be. Oh my gosh. You found it first.
1904.
1905.
Last one. What is Dan Patch's world record time?
1 minute, 55 seconds. I saw it on the rug. I was
Good
looking
job.
at the year.
What is Dan Patch's world record time?
155.
Yeah, I saw that
Good
one.
work.
Oh,
That's it.
All right.
Good job.
Hi, thank you.
Got it? Cool.
Just embarrassed myself a ton.
I'm the cable company.
And I'm your city. Over the years, the cable company and I have made many financial agreements so they can continue to bring cable television to
Me, a resident of your city.
Part of our agreement with the cable company allows us to use the franchise fees to create
Me, your local community cable channel. We provide direct communication from your city to you, the resident, in the form of city meetings, special programming, and local information you can't find anywhere else.
And thanks to you, local channel, I am able to stay informed in what's happening in my city.
And together with our cable company partner, we're able to provide a state-of-the-art cable system to your home.
And our partnership keeps our residents engaged in their community.
So thank you, your city and cable company, for providing funding so local channel can continue to provide me with a diversity of information that strengthens our community.
Log on to learn more about what your local cable channel does for your community.
Be in the picture.
If you know the answer, hit the light.
I'm not good at trivia.
All right.
Good luck.
Good luck.
How many sworn police personnel do we have?
37. I want to say 32.
I didn't even see
She
the
got
number.
it. Her hand was below.
24?
38.
Yes, it's on. How many miles of roadway are in Savage? Jesse.
528.
Wrong.
What? Hold on, I'm trying to add it up. 170.
Whoa.
250.
Only 250?
I was winging it.
1,612.
It's 166.4.
That's it? It's like how much we drive in a shift.
To date, how many awards has communications won?
Oh, that's all of them.
Too many.
7.
6.
20. 21. Oh, good job, Lindsay.
Congratulations.
How many inspections were completed in 2023? And this is building inspections.
120.
1,500.
250.
6,861.
You're saying they don't do much. No, just kidding.
Okay, not even close.
Nope.
How many feet is the tallest water tower?
Oh, good grief. You better get this one. I just read this too. 65.
168 feet.
475.
I'm gonna say 9-story building, 90.
401.
It is 176 feet.
Wow, we are not even close.
Does the hill count? Because it's on a huge hill.
It is on a huge hill. How many fire hydrants are in the city?
695. 3,862.
8,000.
Take a guess.
I'm just going to take a guess because